If you're over 60 and have stopped masturbating, you might think it's harmless, just a natural part of aging. But the truth is, it could be accelerating your physical and mental decline. That may sound harsh, but as a urologist with over 30 years of experience treating thousands of older men, I've seen the quiet consequences. Declining prostate health, hormonal imbalance, reduced cardiovascular function, and even cognitive decline. I'm Dr. James Ellison, a board-certified urologist and men's health specialist. And today, I'm not speaking as a distant expert, but as someone who deeply cares about how you age with quality, not just longevity. You might believe masturbation is something to leave behind in youth, but science says otherwise.
When older men stop all sexual stimulation, it often triggers a subtle, cascading breakdown across multiple systems in the body, impacting energy, mood, intimacy, and long-term health. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through what really happens and how to stay connected to the part of yourself that still deserves attention, vitality, and care. I'll reveal 5 medically proven dangers of giving up this natural and vital act, and how taking it back could help you reclaim energy, confidence, and even years of healthy life. And what you'll hear in point number 4 may change how you see aging forever. Before we begin, if you care about staying strong, sharp, and healthy as you age, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you never miss another video designed specifically for men over 60. And if this topic speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me create content that truly supports your health. Let's start with the first and perhaps most overlooked danger. What happens to your prostate when you stop ejaculating regularly? Most men don't realize this, but neglecting this simple function can quietly increase your risk of inflammation, enlargement, and even prostate cancer. Here's why: 1. Increased risk of prostate problems, including cancer. I've seen this more times than I care to count. A man in his late 60s comes into my office. He looks healthy on the outside, stays active, eats fairly well, but something's off. His PSA levels are creeping up. He's feeling some discomfort when urinating. Maybe he's waking up 3 or 4 times a night just to relieve himself, and when I ask him about ejaculation, there's always that pause. Then he shrugs and says something like, "Well, doc, I haven't really done that in a while." That's when I lean in and say the thing most men over 60 have never been told: regular ejaculation isn't optional, it's essential. It's not about sex or desire, it's about function, prevention, and survival. You see, the prostate is a muscular gland that plays a crucial role in producing semen. When it's not emptied regularly, the fluid can stagnate, the tissue can swell, and inflammation begins to take hold. This creates the perfect storm for complications: prostatitis, benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, and in some cases it lays the groundwork for prostate cancer. Scientific studies have confirmed this. Men who ejaculate 21 or more times per month have shown a statistically significant lower risk of developing prostate cancer than those who do so less frequently. That's not internet rumor, that's peer-reviewed Harvard.
Published data. But this isn't just about percentages and medical charts. It's about the very real cost of neglect. I've had patients who waited too long. By the time symptoms pushed them into my office, the damage was already unfolding. Medications, biopsies, surgery. The emotional toll on them and their families was immense, and for what? For believing that abstaining was somehow cleaner or more appropriate for their age. This is the part where I tell you the hard truth. The price of silence, shame, or neglect is your health, and when it comes to our prostate, that price can be life-altering. You don't need to be sexually active with a partner. You don't need to chase libido like you did in your 20s. What you do need is to honor your body's design. Ejaculation clears the plumbing. It keeps the tissue healthy. It literally lowers your risk of a disease that claims the lives of thousands of men each year. So if you've been quietly ignoring that part of yourself, I urge you, start listening again, Because ignoring your sexual function doesn't protect you from aging, it speeds it up. And as serious as prostate health is, what's coming next might surprise you even more, because it has nothing to do with cancer and everything to do with who you are as a man. If you're still here and this message is resonating with you, drop a number 1 in the comments to let me know you're still with me now. Let's keep going. What comes next might matter even more than you think. 2. Decline in testosterone and masculine vitality. I remember one of my longtime patients, Greg, 72 years old, retired firefighter, tough as nails, when he first came into my office. He looked defeated. His handshake was soft, his posture slouched, and his eyes had that look I've come to recognize: tired, distant, and disconnected. He told me, "Doc, I don't feel like myself anymore. I don't have the fire I used to. It's like my edge is gone." When we talked deeper, I learned he hadn't masturbated or had any sexual activity in nearly 2 years. Now, most men don't realize this, but testosterone, your primary male hormone, doesn't just disappear because you age. Yes, it declines naturally over time, but the biggest mistake older men make is believing that drop is untreatable, or worse, that it doesn't matter. It matters more than you think. Testosterone is your engine. It drives your energy, your focus, your muscle tone, your sleep, and even your ability to feel joy. And here's where the cost comes in. When you stop engaging in sexual activity, especially masturbation, your brain stops getting the signal that your sexual function is still needed. It adjusts accordingly, reducing testosterone production even further. This isn't just a theory, it's biological feedback. Use it, and the system stays engaged. Stop using it, and your body starts to shut it down. That's the cruel reality. You may think you're simply letting nature take its course, but what's really happening is a slow, quiet surrender of your masculinity and the price fatigue that won't go away. Weight gain that creeps up, no matter what you eat. Loss of muscle strength, a shrinking libido, and a growing sense of emotional flatness. I see men who once led active, purposeful lives become passive, withdrawn, even depressed. They stop taking care of themselves. They stop reaching out. Eventually, they stop recognizing the man in the mirror. What Greg experienced wasn't rare, it's common. But the moment we reintroduced intentional, healthy solo sexual activity into his weekly routine, something changed. His energy lifted. He started walking again. He even began volunteering at a local shelter, not because of magic, because his biology came back online. Your body is listening to everything you do or don't do, and when you stop signaling that you're still in the game, it starts pulling the plug. But here's where things get even more interesting, because the next consequence isn't just about your hormones or your strength. It's about something deeper, quieter, and far more dangerous. It's about what happens inside your mind. 3. Memory loss, foggy thinking, and emotional numbness. I once sat across from a man named Walter, 69, widowed, a retired high school math teacher. He'd always been sharp, but this time he looked lost in his own story. "Doc," he said quietly, "I forget words now. I can't remember where I put things. It's like someone turned down the brightness in my head." He had no history of dementia, no strokes, no underlying illness, but as we talked, one thing became clear. He had completely disconnected from his own body. No intimacy, no arousal, no masturbation, nothing. What most people don't realize is that sexual stimulation isn't just physical, it's deeply neurological. When you masturbate, even occasionally, your brain lights up. It releases dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, neurochemicals responsible for mood, clarity, sleep, and even short-term memory. The act of self-pleasure is quite literally brain fuel. Without it, especially in older age, the brain becomes sluggish. Not overnight, but gradually, the clarity dims, focus drifts, emotions flatten. You may find yourself forgetting appointments, losing interest in hobbies, or feeling detached from people you once loved being around. That's the price. It's not immediate. It doesn't come with sirens or warnings, but one day you'll wake up and realize the lights have gone a little dimmer, your thoughts a little slower, and Your joy quietly missing Walter's story isn't rare. I've seen this pattern in dozens of men's sharp minds that begin to dull not from age alone, but from isolation, especially the kind no one talks about. Physical isolation is hard, yes, but sexual isolation, when a man stops honoring his need for connection, stimulation, and release, that kind of silence is dangerous. It tells the brain there's nothing to wake up for. When Walter reintroduced gentle by mindful masturbation into his life, just once or twice a week, something shifted. Within a month, he reported sleeping better, his concentration improved, his conversations became livelier, he even started reading again. The fog had begun to lift. Your brain is built for connection. It's built to respond to stimulation, and when you give it nothing, it starts preparing for decline. But what happens when that decline goes beyond memory? What if the very blood vessels that keep you alive start shutting down too? That's exactly what we'll uncover next, and it might be the most physically dangerous risk yet. If you're still watching and these insights are striking a chord, go ahead and comment the number 1 below, so I know you're here and engaged now. Let's keep moving forward with point number 4. It's one you won't want to miss. 4. Cardiovascular risk goes up. A few years ago, I had a patient named Harold. He was 74, a former truck driver, strong built but quiet. He came to see me for what he thought were minor circulation issues: cold feet, some tingling in his legs, occasional chest tightness. When walking upstairs, he wasn't on any major medications, and all the basic tests looked okay. But when I asked him about his sexual health, he laughed it off. "That part of my life's over, doc," he said. "Haven't had an erection or done anything in years, don't miss it." But what Harold didn't know, and what most older men don't realize, is that erections aren't just about sex. They are a direct reflection of your vascular health. Blood flow to the penis is one of the earliest and most sensitive indicators of how well your cardiovascular system is functioning. If you're not getting regular erections even from masturbation, it could be a silent red flag that your arteries are stiffening, narrowing, and losing flexibility. That means higher risk for heart attack, stroke, and other life-threatening issues. You see, regular sexual activity, even solo, helps maintain healthy blood flow throughout the body. It supports vascular elasticity, promotes nitric oxide production, and keeps the endothelium, the lining of your blood vessels, responsive. When men stop engaging in this natural process, they're not just losing erections, they're losing circulation resilience and long-term protection. The price for ignoring this can be devastating. I've seen men go from slightly sluggish to bedridden in under a year. It starts subtly: fatigue, shortness of breath, trouble climbing stairs. But underneath, the circulatory system is quietly shutting down, and no one connects it to the fact that they've let their body go still. After a deeper vascular workup, we found Harold had early signs of peripheral artery disease. We worked together to restore function: exercise, diet, medication. But also, I asked him to start reconnecting with his body gently and privately. He was skeptical, but he did it. And slowly, his energy came back. His blood pressure improved, the tingling in his feet subsided. He told me, "Doc, I didn't know this part of me still worked, and I sure didn't know it still mattered." It matters because the heart doesn't just respond to love or stress. It responds to touch, to movement, to the reminder that life is still flowing. And while blood flow is essential to your physical survival, what happens next hits even deeper. It's about your identity, your confidence, and the part of yourself you may have left behind without even realizing it. 5. Loss of sexual function and identity. One of the hardest conversations I ever had was with a man named Charles, 76, a retired Navy officer. He sat across from me, hands folded tightly in his lap, and said something I'll never forget. "I don't feel like a man anymore. I don't even know who I am without that part of me." His voice cracked, not from weakness, but from years of silent detachment from the most intimate part of himself. Like so many others, he had quietly let go of any sexual expression. No intercourse, no intimacy, no masturbation, nothing. And that silence cost him more than he realized, because when a man stops touching himself, not just physically, but emotionally and psychologically, he begins to drift from his sense of self. Your sexuality isn't just about performance or pleasure, it's about identity. It's the feeling of being connected to your body, of being alive, of still having a pulse that means something. And when that fades, so does your confidence, your joy, and your will to keep pushing forward. I've seen this countless times. Men who once stood tall now walk slower, speak softer, laugh less. They feel invisible, not because the world stopped seeing them, but because they stopped seeing themselves. They stopped engaging with the part of life that makes you feel vital, desirable, even if only to yourself. There's a deep psychological price to this kind of withdrawal. It's not dramatic. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's steady and it's powerful. It shows up in the form of disinterest, apathy, even depression. It can erode your motivation to stay active, take care of your health, or pursue the things that once mattered to you. Charles told me he thought he was doing the dignified thing by letting that part of life go. But when I asked him who decided it was no longer his, he had no answer. Because the truth is, no one gets to decide when you stop being a man that's yours to hold on to or let slip away. And here's what I told him, the same thing I'll tell you. Reclaiming that part of yourself isn't shameful, it's survival. It's healing. It's the spark that can reignite your spirit when everything else feels like it's slowing down. Now that you've heard the 5 dangers, you might be wondering, where do I go from here? What's the next step, and how do I start bringing my body, my health, and my sense of manhood back to life? Let's talk about that now. Conclusion. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you, not just for listening, but for caring enough about your health to hear the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, what we've talked about. Today isn't something most men are ever told, and I get it. It's not easy to face, but I've seen what happens when men ignore this part of their lives, and I've seen the transformation when they choose to reconnect with it. Let's go back to where we started. You now know that avoiding masturbation after 60 doesn't protect you. It puts you at risk. You put your prostate in danger by allowing inflammation and toxins to build up. You let your testosterone fade, slowly, losing strength, energy, and the very fuel that drives your sense of masculinity. You allow your mind to fog your focus, to weaken your emotions, to flatten you. Compromise your heart and blood vessels by cutting off the very activity that keeps your circulation alive. And maybe the hardest of all, you begin to lose the man you once were, because the one part of you that made you feel alive, grounded, and whole has gone silent. I've treated too many men who thought aging meant stepping quietly into invisibility, but I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. Aging doesn't mean fading. It can mean awakening. If you're willing to listen to what your body's been trying to tell you, this is about more than just sex. It's about reclaiming ownership of your body, your identity, and your dignity. It's about making peace with your desires, not pushing them away in shame or silence. Whether you're 60, 70, or 85, you still deserve to feel connected, vital, and present in your own skin. So where do you go from here? Start with something simple. Give yourself permission to care again. Take time without guilt to reconnect with your body, not out of habit, but out of intention. This is about health, about feeling, about living fully in every stage of life. And if this message speaks to you, you're not alone. There are thousands of men out there rediscovering this truth quietly, courageously every day. Be one of them, because you're not done yet, not even close. If this video gave you a new perspective or helped you better understand your health, please take a moment to like, share, and leave a comment below. Your engagement not only supports this channel, it helps other men just like you find the information they need to live stronger, longer, and more connected lives. Whether you're here to learn to grow or to take back control, your voice matters. Drop a comment to share your thoughts or experiences, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another video designed specifically for men over 60. You're not alone, and you're just getting started.